Why, hello there, Bremerton, and welcome to this majestic garden in the middle of Bremerton High School. A big volunteer effort brought it to life in time for school start on Wednesday. And I've got its story on how it happened on this week's edition of Bremerton Beat Blast. Stay tuned. Welcome back to this edition of the Bremerton Beat Blast, sponsored by the Admiral Theater. Story number one, Lance McCoy saw promise in this little green space tucked inside of Bremerton High School. And with the help earlier this year of an army of volunteers from Peninsula Bible Fellowship in East Bremerton, he was able to complete a metamorphosis here in time for the school year to begin.
When the old rain garden was in here, this became just a pass-through area. After so many years of disrepair, I went to my boss, Dave Harrington, Director of Facilities and Operations. I asked him if we could get after it. We had volunteers from the Peninsula Bible Fellowship, ages 1 to 80, and we had approximately 65 volunteers for this project. They did a great job weeding the garden. They cleaned the canvas, they got it to bare dirt, and from there we were able to begin our project 2 months later. I think it's going to be a place of pride. We believe that we're going to have students that want to volunteer in the garden and help weed it and rake leaves and tend to the garden. We're going to now have an outdoor classroom setting for those teachers that want to come down here and ply their trade in a natural setting.
Story number two, a brand new arts festival rolls into town this weekend. On Saturday and Sunday, Wayzgoose Kitsap will premiere alongside the Blackberry Festival in downtown Bremerton.
A lot of arts events, you kind of going to a gallery and you're looking at work, and that's amazing, but what Wayzgoose does is it brings the art to the streets and it brings the art to people's hands. You're actually seeing the art being made.
Our big draw is the steamroller printing, and basically we have over 24 artists and teams that have taken on the tremendous task of carving a 3-foot by 3-foot linoleum block. So that linoleum block will then be inked up by giant rollers the day of the festival, placed on the street, paper placed over the top of that, followed by a piece of board, and then rolled over with a steamroller multiple times to create a beautiful print on cotton paper.
This was the idea of Marit Bockley, who owns the Bremerton Letterpress Company. She wanted to unite her two loves in Bremerton, the town itself and printing and artwork.
I wanted to create something like that in my own community, because having printing happening in person, interacting with kids and with people who haven't seen live printing happening before, where they get to actually partake in it, and a lot of the artists in this area got to make these cool prints that we are printing from. That is the coolest thing I could think of doing with my business and my press here.
Story number three, perhaps it was just fate or one heck of a coincidence. 26 years ago, Dr. Ronald Dommermuth delivered Jacob Van Fleet at Naval Hospital, Bremerton. Van Fleet, who grew up in Texas, decided to become a doctor himself. And little did he know, the program that he was enrolling in the Pacific Northwest would reunite him with the man who signed his birth certificate.
Part of his history was that he had been delivered at the Naval Hospital. Said, oh yeah, what year was that? And he said, well, that was 1991. And I went, wow, I was an intern then. There's a 1 in 4 chance that I was at your birth. We tracked it back through his mother and a birth certificate and found out that I was the one who was there for the delivery.
Dr. Dommermuth actually came and took his hands and placed them on my head just like this, like he was delivering me. And this, granted, this is also the first time that I'd met this man. And then a few months later, when I actually looked at the birth certificate, yeah, all I can say is the emotions were just kind of rushing through about how surreal this whole experience was, and just the whole coincidence of it.
Just kind of stunningly amazing to realize that someone you were there at the beginning with, you're part of a new beginning with.
Story number four, Park Avenue was closed between Burwell Streets and 4th Street for over a year as crews renovated the Burwell pedestrian tunnel that leads into the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard. But now city officials are wondering if that little block of street warrants a permanent closure for both pedestrian safety and traffic flow downtown. Now, there hasn't been any decisions made yet, but city engineers are looking at the idea of making this little stretch of road a plaza. A public meeting is being planned for October to discuss this option. I'd love to know your opinions on the matter as well. You can always drop me a line to Josh josh.farley@kitsapsun.com and let me hear those thoughts. Finally, story number 5 this week. A few residents of Burwell Street have been getting letters that the State Department of Transportation intends to take a little slice of their properties. This is so the state can expand the size of the sidewalks in the area, and it all points to a paving of Burwell Street between Highway 303 or Warren Avenue all the way down to Montgomery Avenue on the other side. The state's not awarded a contract for a bid, so we don't know yet how much this project will cost, but you can be sure that Burwell Street is showing signs of its age. And finally, what's on tap for your weekend? Brought to you by Silver City Brewery Tap Room. It's a big weekend in downtown Bremerton. The inaugural Wayzgoose Kitsap Festival will take over both Pacific Avenue and 4th Street, as well as the Blackberry Festival will invade, as it always does, the Louis Mentor Boardwalk Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. That's our show for this week, Bremerton. Hope you have a great rest of your week and a marvelous Labor Day weekend.
I said, sir, I know them well. This ain't my first rodeo, can't you tell? Come from a bad boy, bad boy. You come from a bad